The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Media Mash, a roundtable of Cowboys insiders dropping wisdom and offering sizzling takes on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys. Now, your host, Newy Scruggs.
Let's ride. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
Let's go.
All right, John Machota, The Athletic. I'm Newy Scruggs. This is the Media Mash. We may have some other people joining us, but you know what? Right now, it's time to go. You're here. Let's get to it. You were in the locker room, and Mike McCarthy spoke today. Mike McCarthy basically told us Cooper Rush is going to play because the Dak Prescott is still in the medical evaluation phase of this thing right now.
Right, and so he said that he would do some throwing after practice, which was going to be a portion we wouldn't get to see. So the portion we were able to see, Dak was throwing lightly, but with his left hand. He was doing this on purpose because he knew we were all watching him. We had, 10 different regular cameras and probably another 15 phone cameras on him. So he was throwing left-handed, probably threw 20 different throws. But then at the end of practice, when we were going down to the locker room, he was throwing routes, and those had some zip on them. That's the best I've seen of his throws since the injury. We've seen him do some soft toss and stuff, but he had some zip on these throws, and so he was in the locker room briefly, and as he was leaving, he said he was asked how he did, and he said solid. And then he said, ask the receivers. And he was told that the receivers said that he had some pop on his throws. And he said, I always got some pop on my throws. I'm not going to throw if I ain't got some pop on my throws. So, and
did he say throws?
You know what, Clarence? Just go ahead.
Hey, bro, you late. So let the man finish.
He said, substitute what I said. When I said throws, substitute that for balls. He said the word balls, okay? Sorry. But yeah, you can tell he's getting closer. Seeing him, seriously, Joe, you saw that when we walked out to practice. That, like, some of the routes he was throwing to Dennis Houston and Michael Gallup and that, some comebacks, a couple of slants and things. He looked like this is the first time when I've seen him where I was like, oh, you know what? I could actually see him coming back like in a week or so. Up until that point, you hadn't really seen him throw anything other than like little soft tosses that we would have completed. But today, that was impressive what he saw at the end of practice. So he's not going to be ready for this game, but it looks like he's on track to potentially return the following week against Detroit, I would say.
Well, let's bring in Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com. We've got Clarence Hill, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Your thoughts on Mike McCarthy saying Cooper Rush is going to get the start this week?
Well, I think he's the healthy quarterback. So, I think you guys know how I feel on this. I'm not benching a quarterback that's undefeated. I've said it 100 times. I keep saying it. So, he's undefeated. I would play him, and I would, Dak's thumb won't be healthy to me until Cooper Rush loses. That's the way I would look at it. Wow. What?
I don't think that's the process here. But I hear your opinion that as long as he's undefeated, you're gonna play him.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the process the Cowboys are going with.
I don't know.
I'm sure there are subterfuge and conspiracy theorists out there. They're just using this and to say that to keep Dak on the bench while Cooper's playing, and I'm sure that's going to come out. But like Machota said, Dak threw today for the first time. Did they wait till the day to throw and limit him today so he wouldn't have a full week of practice? I don't know, but we haven't seen him do anything. He did more today than he's done, since he's began. But let's be honest. It was initially supposed to be a 6 to 8 week injury, and it was Jerry and the Cowboys who didn't want to put him on IR and who at one point had him playing the Washington game, which was no way possible. And then the Rams game. And today is actually 4 weeks from surgery. 4 weeks. September 12th, October 12th. Exactly 4 weeks from surgery. This is when realistically he had any chance of, and it still would have been early. Because you're talking about 4 weeks from the date of surgery. When a surgically repaired thumb, it takes 4 to 8 weeks for bones to heal. This is when it should be.
Okay. Based on your feeling from Mike McCarthy, when do you think he'll be back? Can we look towards? I don't see this week. Next week?
I think next week is.
I
think next week is. You look at what he's doing in practice, throwing the ball, and what he's done after practice. Again, Dak wants to play. He said, "I'm antsy as F to get back out there and play." And mentally, he's ready. It's just a matter of going through the process and becoming a quarterback again, doing all the things with the quarterback again. I think next week is the best chance of him returning, but the earliest chance of returning. Now, if they want to continue to be, it depends on how it goes. But it will be. I think the decision is based on medical. I think if you look at how the team is playing, and we love what Cooper's done, let's be happy with what Cooper's done. But as Jerry Jones so eloquently said on the radio on Tuesday, there are going to be times when you'll need your quarterback to make plays in the passing game. And right now, it's a great situation because you have to really need your quarterback to make plays to win games. And Dak Prescott, for the long haul, gives them the best chance to be the best team they can be.
And when he comes back, he's now playing with a team that is winning with its defense. And that's a big difference from when you go back to week 1 last year when he was coming out of training camp, coming off of the shoulder injury. It was like, how much can he throw? Well, look how much he had to throw for them to even be in that Bucs game. He's not going to need to do that right away. He will not have to throw 35, 40 times. So he's going to have to make a handful of big-time throws throughout a game, but he's not going to have to make them on every single series with how well this defense is playing.
And from a mental standpoint, just understand this. No matter what they said, yes, training camp, we thought this was going to be a defensive team, but I know going back to the spring, when Steven and we talked about the lack of weapons and the thing, well, Dak Prescott can be our Aaron Rodgers. Dak Prescott, he can make other parts of our team that are lesser better because we pay him that kind of money. So coming into the season, he felt he had to carry this team. That was the mindset of Dak can carry us. Dak can make, a so-called inferior offensive line, which we thought at the time, a so-called inferior receiving core. He can uplift those teams like all the great franchise quarterbacks. Now he doesn't have that pressure of having to uplift a team.
Now let's go back to what Nick said. Nick said, not benching quarterback was unbeaten.
Right.
They are an underdog in Philadelphia. If Cooper Rush wins this game,
I'm going back with Dak. I think they could still go back with Dak. With all that being said, I see where Nick's coming from. I get that. There is something about riding a hot hand.
Not just me.
My whole deal is...
Jerry Jones said it. I mean, you just wanted to quote Jerry. And Jerry, I mean, it's hard to just quote Jerry.
He'll always say something that will help you out in whatever you're writing.
Wherever way you want to go. The question about mojo, argument, all that, he goes, yes, I believe that. And the last thing he said, now he compared the Dak and Romo thing, which I don't think is the same. Valid. It's not the same comparison, but he did say, the last thing he said in that quote is, don't mess with that chemistry when you got it going like that. That's the last thing he said.
Then they start talking about something else because they'd ask him another question. He'd have come back to, we need that to win.
He's good about that.
Okay, so that was the last thing he said on that quote.
When you're writing stories, though, it does help because you can find something that he said and you go, ooh, this works.
And I hear you, the mojo, but the mojo is the defense. The mojo is the formula. The mojo is not Cooper Rush.
He's part of it, though.
He is part of it, but it's how he's playing, and Dak can play. The thing about Dak, that was Dak's MO for much of his career. I don't throw the ball away. I don't turn the ball over. He's not a gunslinger. I mean, that's who Dak has been. That was his DNA from when he got the job. The idea that Dak can't play that way is silly.
Well, here, let me just say this to you, Nick, because I've already talked about this with Clarence before, but how do you feel about the idea? This is where I come from on this. I think Cooper Rush could potentially get you, into the playoffs, and maybe you even win a game there, kind of like at the best, maybe a Goff or a Garoppolo. But I'm of the belief that I don't care about winning a playoff game. My only goal is to win a Super Bowl, and I think Dak Prescott is the person that gives you the chance to win a Super Bowl.
I definitely agree. This is not about Dak being better than Cooper or Cooper being – Dak is better than Cooper. There's no doubt about it. I would never be the manager that takes out my pitcher in a 7th inning of a no-hitter and does a combined no-hitter. Right. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
I understand
that's a health thing too, but I'm not doing that. And I think it protects Dak. It protects all of this talk about Dak. If you do that, he loses to the Eagles. He's an 0-2 quarterback versus this 5-0 quarterback. Now it feeds more into this.
Okay, but we're not talking about the Eagles. He's not playing against the Eagles. We're talking about next week.
You don't know that for sure.
Right, because this all could be a lie. They could be, this could be all subterfuge. All of a sudden, Dak
what
runs
if
out
they
there.
beat the Eagles 38-31 and he throws 4 touchdown passes and they
He's
win that?
not throwing 4
I know he's
touchdown
not.
passes.
He
I mean,
hasn't
let's be
thrown
honest.
4.
He's thrown 4 in 4 games. I mean, he's not
he's
throwing,
not.
and that's not the style they're going to play. They're going to try to pound it, and the problem is that if they get behind, you have to throw it. I mean, of course, God forbid they never get behind, and of course, every time they get behind, Cooper Rush puts them back in the lead because that's what he does. But what John's point is the major point here, and you have to understand that. And I hear what you're saying about the mojo. 27-year mojo is greater than your 6-game mojo. Okay, this is about the Super Bowl for the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. This is not about 5 or 6 games mojo. Okay, the big picture is what matters for this team. I don't care if it was Dak was here, and this is all great. We love Mike McCarthy. Let him go out there and lose the first round in the playoffs. No one cares.
So, Nick, and this is something I was actually, because I was talking to Rodney Harrison of NBC Sports. They've got the game on Sunday on the way over, and he says to me, Newey, if Cooper Rush wins, do you stay with him? And I said, Rodney, how many passes did he complete last week? How many first downs did they have? I said, they won, but he was not the reason they're winning. Jerry, in my mind, and I think even Mike McCarthy in the locker room feels like Dak can be one of the reasons why they win. Right. And that's not a slight on Cooper Rush. You're doing what they ask you to do. And unlike what that Dak Tony run, what was it, 9-1 we got to at one point in time? It was like 9 straight.
No, he won 11 straight games.
11.
Yeah, I mean, it was 11-1. And,
okay.
I'm sorry.
But I'm saying, pitch my point. 9 was when you said, okay, we don't think you can go back to Tony now because you had the Pittsburgh win, you had the Pack win. At that point, it was like, and we're not going to get
And we can say what you want. Dak was not bus driving that whole year. Dak was making plays. He was starting with that Rams game and that playoff game. He was making plays down the field. Even if you go to that playoff game, he played well enough to win that playoff game against Aaron Rodgers. Yes. I mean, it wasn't a bus drive, hand the ball off, and just dink and dunk on third down. You go back to the season. But the bigger difference is the people who don't understand. Tony was clearly at the end of his career. You could not, even if you wanted to go back to Tony from a football standpoint, you couldn't trust that Tony was going to stay healthy. And that's why you don't want to mess the mojo up. So I go back to Tony and he plays 2 games to get hurt. And now whatever we had was messed up. Okay. This is a different scenario. Yes, I know Dak's right now injury prone because he's gotten hurt 3 straight years, but it's still not the same thing. It's clearly 2 different things, 2 different quarterbacks.
Well, at the time, too, you thought, okay, Dak is the future.
Right.
No one's sitting here going, you know what, hold on with this Dak and his $40 million.
All of that.
We might have this new guy here.
All of that. It was about the future. It was about the present and the future. No one's thinking Cooper Rush is the future of this team. He's going to be a future franchise quarterback that's going to lead them to the Super Bowl. It's just 2 totally different things. And again, it's about the drought of 27 years. That's the mojo they want to break.
All right. This is interesting because it's going around. I'm sure you guys get it wherever you go.
It's been going around since game 2. Let's be honest.
And honestly,
Jerry said it. Jerry put out this fantasy land, and it's almost like, what would you do if you won $1 million? And you just throw it out there, and it really doesn't matter. Like, I would play him, I wouldn't play him, doesn't matter. He's not going to win 4 straight games. And here we are.
And let me just say this. A lot of the stuff that happens around here, especially when I look at that star, it makes me think of this. There's so many things that are blown bigger and out of proportion because they're the Cowboys. But I honestly think this storyline's fascinating on any team.
I mean,
for an undrafted guy, your $40 million guy.
It's a great story, and that's what people don't understand. No one wants to dump on the Cooper Rush story because it is a Disney movie. It's an ABC. I don't know if you all remember those ABC Saturday afternoon specials or afternoon specials. It is a great movie.
Knew he remembers.
No one saw. And the thing about it is when Jerry threw it out there, he didn't believe it. Jerry was throwing stuff up.
He was hope. He was throwing hope out.
He didn't know Cooper was going.
He better get his walking shoes on because he's about to start walking to New York.
Yeah, he didn't believe that. He was just throwing it out there just because he likes the bait.
Nobody in New England is saying, all right, Brady Zappi, win 1 more, and Mac Jones, you're done. They don't say that, but they say it here. Well, that's a part of.
But you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's also part of. There's a segment that don't like Dak. There's a segment that still questions Dak. Excuse me. There's a segment that's still mad about Tony. They're mad about the money. They don't. There are people in this world, in this fan base, in the media community, amongst whatever, who don't think Dak's a top 10 quarterback. That's also part of it. We can't ignore that.
Who? Who in the media? Say his name. Say his name.
Why does it have to be his?
I mean, there are people that believe that. So I mean, it's he doesn't have Super Bowl cover.
Sure.
He doesn't have playoff win cover, and so that's part of it as well.
Hey, in Forrest Gump when he decides to start running. And all of a sudden, the farther he goes, there's more media coming, more media. That's us around Jerry as he's walking to New York.
Right.
All right, I guess we got to go. He's walking to New York.
The photo from L.A. was great.
Yeah.
Somebody had it from way back when everyone's around him.
Yeah.
And I just tweeted, I said, the media loves the man. And then I think it was old Josh Ellis who used to work at the Cowboys.com. He says, and the man loves them.
Oh, yeah.
Listen. The crazy, you've been out there after games. We get down there. Jerry comes to the media first before he goes in the locker room.
Yeah.
He does two. I'm gonna get you guys first. He couldn't wait to talk to the media. Then he goes to the locker room and he comes back and talks again.
Yeah,
he
pumped.
couldn't wait to tell everybody about the jewels and the jewelry. He's like, what are you talking about, old man?
Was he more?
Were you like, what is he talking about?
He turns 80 tomorrow. Show some respect.
I do. I love respect and love him. But what are you talking about? What is jewelry?
So did he have more juice after L.A. or when he was looking for you after that Bengals win?
I don't know.
No, it was definitely L.A.
Oh,
that's the most jacked up he's been in a while.
They did a birthday party for him there. He said they celebrated birthday. He had a lot of people at the game. It's the Rams, dude. It's his stadium. He was born in El Segundo. He brought out
defending Super Bowl champs. They won the Super Bowl in that building.
And one thing that even after beating the Bengals, after beating the Giants, after beating Washington, there were people, this is not real. Beat the Rams.
Okay.
Beat the difference.
Don't you think those people are still saying the same thing right now? Now go beat the Eagles.
Right, but before it's like
Rams aren't good.
Right now the Rams aren't good, but before that it was beat the Rams. That's just the Redskins. That's just the Giants. Beat the Rams. A pissed off Rams team who just lost a coach who's never been under 500 in his career. Beat the Rams.
But that does have some validity because as you pointed out in 2016, 11 in a row was amazing. Don't get me wrong. But at Green Bay,
that was
at
it.
Pittsburgh, and at Pittsburgh, those two right there.
Yeah, that was like, okay,
damn.
When Dak went and beat Green, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Well, the Green Bay game was so interesting because Fox had it that day, and so you had Troy in the booth. They bring in Brett, and they just start going in on how you can't get rid. Basically, they buried Tony, and then at halftime, here's Jimmy. You can't go back. You can't do it. And I was like, he's done. That's what I was like. Romo's done.
Yeah.
And then you had the Steeler comeback. I will admit that was one of those. We were in the newsroom because
the Steeler game was awesome.
Yeah,
we were in the newsroom and you guys know this for anybody that died. Cowboy fans hate Steelers. You take 2 Super Bowls and hate. That was one of the most unbelievable games that I can recall in the last 20 years, and that had the people jumping and going. And that at that point in time, you truly did not want to see a change back. You wanted to keep that rolling. They're selling the 214 shirts. It was all good stuff. Let's take our first break. Micah Parsons, Tank Lawrence, 2 defensive stalwarts of this team. What's their health? It's a question mark. Let's get back to it with John Machota, The Athletic, Nick Eatman of DallasCowboys.com, Clarence Hill of Footwear Star Telegram. I'm Newey Scruggs. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field. United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf. For winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Back to Media Mash.
Media Mash. DallasCowboys.com is what you are checking out with Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star Telegram, Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com, John Machota of The Athletic. The practice report, injury reports out here. Hit me, Machota. What you got?
All right, three most important ones here. Jason Peters, chest, limited. In the locker room, he was adamant that he's ready to roll. Chill circled back 2 different times with him, and he definitely did not enjoy answering these questions. He seemed like he was a little angry that Chill would even ask him about his health.
He was going to hurt me, man.
Yeah. The other one would be another chest injury, DeMarcus Lawrence. He was limited. Again, he's expected to play on Sunday. And then the other one, and the most important, is Micah Parsons with the groin. When we were out at practice, he was doing resistance cords, and I thought maybe he'd get work into practice after that, but it turns out he didn't. He was listed as did not practice, but he said, quote, there's no question that he's playing Sunday. So those are the three most important ones.
On the players' lines, I asked Barry Church and Danny McCray, 2 former safeties. I said, so what's the plan for practice for Micah this week? Danny looked at me and says, what practice? There's no practice. Not for him. He's like, no, you want this guy ready to go. So he says, at most, he'll be limited this week, and that's what Mike McCarthy led on to.
Easier said than done. It sounds really good to do that and limit your best player if he's banged up and you want him 100% healthy. But we talked about this on our show on Cowboys Break, and when he doesn't practice, then what they're trying to do, all the dynamic things, they're limited as well, because when he moves here, then that means Dorrance moves here or Anthony Barr moves here, and everyone slides around. And so they need to be able to practice these dynamic sets to go up against the Hurts and Sanders and all that. So when he doesn't practice, 3 or 4 other guys aren't really practicing the same type of things. At least that's the way I kind of view it. But we'll see. I'm sure Dan Quinn is smarter than that. They can figure it out. But I think it's more domino effects than when Micah Parsons doesn't practice.
I just think the groin injury thing would limit him from being the spy on Jalen Hurts. And I think that's that key. And I think that will be the most interesting thing. Who will that be? Will it be Curse? Will it be Donovan Wilson? I'm interested to see kind of what that would be.
If Micah Parsons is the spy against the Eagles will win by 20 points. Because they will say, oh, yeah, well, then don't chase me. I'm just going to stay back here in the pocket, and I'm going to throw and dice it up, and I think they can get it blocked. I think
But can he dice it up, though? I think that's what they want to see. I think that's what the game plan's going to be. They're going to find out, and he might. Yeah, but I think that's what they want him to do.
But I don't want Micah Parsons sitting there
Right. You want him rushing him.
I'd rather him just rush it and someone else figure that out.
Makes sense, yeah.
I talked to Rodney Harrison. He said, you don't want to be chasing anyone if you got a groin. He's like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want that. But, Nick, coming back to your point, with a groin injury, and depending on how, what point in time, like last week, all right, put him out there on 3rd downs, maybe you do need these guys to be out here practicing and going through some sets without Micah Parsons. Yeah. Because you just don't know. At any old time, it could be warm-ups. Like with Jordan Lewis a couple weeks ago, just like, can't go. So
no, you're right about that. You want to be able to practice. I mean, there's 2 sides to it. You want to be able to practice without him and show that, different. What would you do if he goes down or whatever? All I'm saying is they're going to dial up some dynamic things, and when he moves around, the other guys move with him, and you just wonder if they're able to do all of that stuff if he's limited. But I mean, he didn't practice today. Maybe he'll be limited. I mean, Thursday, McCarthy says it every Thursday. He says, this is a big day, right. Big test. So we'll see what he does this day.
Clarence?
There's no question that Micah's going to play. And the way he played through that game, last week, even with the groin, they tried to limit him in the second half, and he came up with the 2 big sacks. in the fourth quarter. And I think that this is a different animal with Jalen Hurts and his ability to run. But, he looked good in the fourth quarter. He certainly was able to beat some blockers and rush the quarterback. I think that he said they're going to take care of his body. He's going to be smart with how to handle him this week. But, yeah, you need him out there, and I think that he'll be good enough to have an impact in that game for sure.
Oh, and you mentioned Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis is full, Connor McGovern full, J-Ron Curtis, Jay Ferguson, Donovan Wilson. They were all on the report, but they all were full go today.
We've got a quarter of the season in. I'm going to ask each of you, and you give me a name. And give me the same name if you want. Who's been, outside Dan Quinn, the most valuable assistant coach during this run? Can't use Dan Quinn. Need no coordinator. No coordinator. Position coach.
I think Doug Nussmeier has to get some credit. I mean, you have a backup quarterback come in there and play as well as Cooper has in terms of taking care of the football and just doing his job. I'm not saying he's definitively that has to be the guy, because there's certainly several, but I think his name has to be mentioned in the group. Any quarterback coach, when you're turn your back up in the situation that the Cowboys are facing after they lost that game 19-3 to open the season, that's pretty impressive.
Joe Philbin for me. Joe Philbin's developed a lot of these young guys, including the Tyler Smith, and he's got Biotish playing better, McGovern, and it's a lot of moving parts in and out. Steele, I think, has played pretty well. I think for me, it would be Philbin.
The funny thing about it is, and the good news for the Cowboys, I could name 5 coaches.
Yeah.
Lunda Wells and how he's developed those young tight ends.
George Edwards.
Certainly George as a veteran coach, what he's done with the linebackers. Aiden Dirty, the defensive line coach, who's a future coordinator, what he's done. I mean, you could just go on.
Real quick on Aiden. That's the one person that was more excited than Jerry Jones after that game, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know. You were down there when he ran up and hugged Dan Quinn. Like, that was genuine. You knew that was a big deal that they were able to beat that Rams team and get the pressure they were able to get. Yeah. And you got that a talented group up front, so I think that sometimes people might overlook what he's doing, but, yeah, there's no question he's doing it.
And understand this. We watched the Cowboys play the Rams a few times. And just going back when Jason Garrett, going back to the playoff game, when Dak and those guys, McVay has killed them with his scheming of the running game. And that's what they wanted to do, and they got nothing, and so every time that they've schemed the running game against the Cowboys defense, and we saw them, Sean Blee, all of them looking crazy, late in the rookie year, and they were just always out of position, just killing them, scheming when they schemed the running game, and so they did a great job. But yeah, I mean the secondary coaches, there's not a coach who hasn't done a great job with these. I mean, just look at all the positions.
It's a very good staff. It's a very good staff. I'm going to go with Nick here, with Joe Philbin on the offensive line. He got a lot of criticism last year, a lot of criticism. And then I look at the Cowboys' 4 wins, and Cincinnati, bad offensive line play. Giants,
former Cowboys
bad
offensive
line play. Oh,
Cincinnati.
Yeah. The Commanders, and even last week with the Rams. All 4 teams have issues, and they have not been able to fix those issues. It's just been bad. The Cowboys.
Is it the cook or the utensils?
I'll say this: we're talking about offensive line. The Cowboys made their first start together the first game. That's the first time those guys went out there, and even from that first game, the next week it was a whole different 5. Joe Philbin, what he's done is been able to. We've not talked about Tyler Smith. I was worried about Tyler Smith. I was worried about the left guard spot. I mean, they've gone through 2 left guards and now 3 different left guards that they've put major time into. This has been a fantastic coaching job in a league where offensive play has suffered across this league, and it's prevented some quarterbacks from doing what they can do. Matt Stafford, I don't know how that guy got up on Monday. The Cowboys beat him up pretty good. Daniel Jones was running for his life. So for Joe Philbin to have a backup quarterback in Cooper Rush, to give him the time he needs out there, to me, I think that's a really happy.
Hold on, one more quick point on that, though. I just wanted to say, though, on the staff as a whole, other than Robert Prince, this is basically the same staff from the year before. That's hard to do in the NFL. Usually your staff's going to kind of either you move on from guys or they get poached by other teams, and that's something that Mike McCarthy from 2009 was able to bring over in 2010 when they won the Super Bowl in Green Bay. He was able to bring that entire staff over. I think building that continuity obviously helps, but other than Robert Prince, I mean, this is pretty much the same exact staff he had last year.
And I would say this, and Philbin's done a great job. Offensive line has done a great job. But the key is how they're calling the plays. the way the defense is playing, they've helped that offensive line out a lot.
No question.
And I think that's what they wanted to do. They understood the offensive line was young, receiving coach young. They wanted to lean on the running game and not expose them to a number of passing situations. So we don't know.
You sit back and you throw 35 times against the Rams and let Aaron Donald pin his ears back. He could have had 5 sacks in that game.
We don't know what the line if they had to be in a throwing game, and so you got to give how they call the game, credit for what our line is doing as well.
But you also have to say too, like you can't just keep running the football if you can't run it.
But they didn't run against Washington. They didn't run against Washington. They made one play in the running game against the Rams. I mean, if you look at the yards per carry.
But Cooper Rush's stats, I think, are unfair to judge that against him because he threw 16 passes because he didn't have to. He didn't have to throw the ball.
He didn't because of the defense. It's the running game and the defense.
And they kept running though. They were running. I mean, like the offensive line gets credit because they were mauling them.
I agree, but with a young offensive line, the easiest thing to do is run the ball. I mean, you're running the ball because
I also think it's the strength of these guys in the offensive line.
That's their strength, right? Yeah. But the easiest thing to do is run the ball. You're not putting them. Well, he was talking when he brought up giving Cooper time to throw, and I'm just saying that they have not exposed them in that way because of how they want to play the game.
When they've had to,
and I'm not. Yes, they've done a great job running. Tyler Smith, road grading. Love seeing him out on the edge. What he did against the Giants, a thing of beauty, and that's what you want. You want him doing that. You don't want him having to worry about his technique against Aaron Donald, and they're not putting him in situations where that's the case.
And I go back look at the teams they were playing who had these offensive line issues. Some of these teams couldn't even do what the Cowboys were attempting to do. You think Ron Rivera wants Carson Wentz throwing it 40 times? No.
But you got to give the defense credit. When you're only giving one score a game, 14 points, you can stick to a conservative game plan and not turn the ball over.
They played complimentary football. Mike McCarthy's talked about that.
I think we learned a lot about the Cowboys on Sunday before the game even started, and that was, for the Giants to go out and go to London and beat Green Bay, you found out, well, maybe Green Bay's not that good, and maybe the Giants are good or whatever. But you go back and think about it, and I get it. Styles make fights and all that matchups and that. But the Cowboys dominated the Giants in everywhere but really the scoreboard. It never felt close to me, and they pulled it away, and they should have won a lot more, I think. But, I don't think the Giants are anywhere close to the Cowboys. The record's exactly the same. So I thought that was interesting. They keep winning. Maybe the Giants are good, and if they are one of the better teams, that means the Cowboys, to me, are a lot better than that because they definitely were on that.
No, I agree. That's one thing I looked at because I was talking to the rest of the Giants aren't any good. Yeah, they won the first. I saw them against the Cowboys.
Of course, you said
they don't look.
They
good.
did not. I mean, I watched them play. I looked at their first 2 wins. They didn't beat anybody.
They've never looked good since Daniel Jones has been there.
Right, but they keep winning. But obviously their running game is strong, and so get the Cowboys credit. They gave a one run in that game, and they won the game on the road again with it back in the first true road game. But yeah, we watched the Giants. They did not look good to me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They go beat the Packers. But protracting that's why I look at the rest of the schedule. I don't care who the quarterback is. Even with Cooper Rush, they can win a lot of their games. They can win a lot of games on their schedule. Outside of the Eagles, who are 5-0, who scares you? The Packers don't. Certainly, the Vikings
look pretty good.
They look okay, but they can be had. But outside of the Packers and the Vikings, who's left?
The Jaguars. Sorry.
You got Detroit, you got Chicago, you got it's like Colts.
Texas.
I mean, the Texans, they have one of the easiest schedules in the league.
All right, let's take a break. Clarence all fired up over here. Clarence Hill, 4-Star Telegram. Nick Heatman, DallasCowboys.com.
A friend of mine asked, why do you get so excited? I said, why are you always yelling at me? That's how I talk.
He gets excited about this stuff, kids.
Can I go to break? Hey, John Bashotti, Athletic. I'm Newey Scruggs. It's DallasCowboys.com radio.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field. United Ag and Turf. With John Deere Zero Turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf. For winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Lil Sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Lil Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to Media Mash.
Media Mash. Let's ride.
Oh, we're riding.
Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star Telegram. John Machota, The Athletic. I'm Newy Scruggs. Okay, let's get into Jason Peters here. So Peters was about to hurt you a little bit, but what did he say about going back to Philadelphia, where he spent all that time?
That's this guy. He loves it.
I could not wait to get out of the locker room. We're not supposed to tweet until we get out of the locker room. But he called the Philadelphia fans effing idiots, but with love and in a way that a former Eagle player would. He said, I just know Philly fans are effing idiots when it comes to the camaraderie and the Cowboys. Any team, really, they know that. They pride themselves on being nasty. Philly fans are the wildest fans out there. It's just funny because I don't think that you see that and you think, oh, they're going to take offense to that, but I don't think Eagles fans would. And it's just very well known when you're, whether in the locker room or you've experienced it yourself. Cowboys have the most fans in probably all of pro sports, but the Eagles, and really probably Philly fans in general, are probably the most passionate. I mean, they live and die with those teams, and you see it. When you go to a game in Philadelphia, it's different. You can tell, whether it's the fights in the stands, the way the buses are egged, the way grandmas are flipping off the bus, to just the way that they carry themselves. And Jason Peters obviously played around it. He's been in a lot of Cowboys-Eagles games, and this will be the first time when he's on the other side.
Yeah, I don't enjoy going there. I do not. I do not enjoy going there at all. We've learned. I've since learned what not to wear going there. Just they're on you because you're with the media. I'm like, bro, I don't play.
Yeah.
But they're on. Oh, no. So it's an interesting thing. It's interesting.
My favorite part is I don't know if it was last year or the year before. It's halftime, and Dak is about to go run into the tunnel. This is at Lincoln Financial. And all of a sudden he realizes, yeah, I better go get my helmet. You do not go. And then he ran back and got his helmet. And it's just one of those things you just have to do because you just never know. Somebody might throw something at you.
Protect yourself at all times.
Yeah.
Protect yourself at all
Passionate
times.
bunch.
Yeah. No, I'm going to sit this one out. I hate going up there.
Really?
Why? You don't have to interact with them.
Yeah, you're sitting in a press box. You get to just watch the fights. You get to sit on the bus when it's getting egged. I enjoy it, man. I'm looking forward to this one, seriously.
So we ended up doing some stand-ups. Yeah, people roll up on us.
Oh, okay, I get that. I get that.
We've learned that.
I get that.
Don't wear anything that's got your company logo on it. We stopped taking them. We took the mic flag off there.
I get it.
But, and I'll give them they're smart as realizing you're not from here.
Oh, they know that media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they.
Well, I
like, man, wait till I miss two.
If you would have said stand up to the beginning, I would have totally understood what you were saying for sure.
And the drunkenness factor can get in there. And see, I know I don't need to be mixed with that.
Right.
That's just
Yeah, I like to go and egg things on sometimes.
Really?
You do?
Because you're a hater.
I was in Boston last year. I went to this bar. I watched the Texas game down by what's the
by Fenway?
Fenway Park, and there's this Boston bar, and I just started going in on Boston, messing with the fans.
That's smart.
Regular Bomani Jones up in there. Wear the Bomani shirt. You wear the Caucasian shirt too. Really? Why? Why do you do this?
Then I went to a club that night, and it was like after Patriots, after Celtics. Just messing with these people, just having a good time.
Why do you do this?
Because it's fun.
Is it?
But I won't do that in Philly.
I was gonna say.
I won't do that in Philly.
I mean, it is. Seriously.
They will kill you.
If
somebody
ask you what game should I not go to, I want to go to a Cowboys road game. Just tell me which game should I not go to. I'd say it'd be the Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time, that's what people would say about, you probably don't want to wear the other team's colors if you go to Oakland. That was always one, too.
Yeah. The Raider game is what, the Raider game is what you see. But I tell people all the time, no, I've been in enough Raider games. No, you go, you're fine there.
Yeah.
You don't want to go Philadelphia.
No, because
a lot of people do wear Cowboys gear at those Eagles games.
The difference in the Raiders game, they will fight you if you get into a fight. Eagles will provoke you. Like I was telling a friend of mine that I was at the bar in L.A. at the hotel, and this guy was like, "I want to go to a game in Philly." I say, "Don't go to a game in Philly, and if you do, don't wear your Cowboys gear." And he's all tough. I don't care. They ain't gonna win. I'm a former football player, dude. It's not that you're not tough, okay? David Crockett wasn't scared at the Alamo. He still got killed, okay? It's not about not being scared, okay? It's not about being tough, okay? That's one of my that's one of my lines. But like people. Custer wasn't scared of the Battle of Little Bighorn. So what? I don't care. I ain't tough. I ain't scared of nobody. They will throw beer on you. They will throw popcorn on you. They will incite you to fight. And then when this fight is you on 20, because they're all going to jump on you.
Oh, you can't beat up 20 people?
No, it's like
soft.
It's 20-on-1. Like,
Philly
and
like, Buffalo.
Dude, you don't want to do that.
Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
Maybe recently, but I don't know. I remember when we went up there in 2015. I certainly didn't.
The Kellen Moore game?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't go to the Kellen Moore
game. I don't think Buffalo fans are violent.
You knew it as a Kellen Moore game. Obviously, it was pretty historic.
They violent on tables. They're not violent opposing fans like that.
Not like the Eagles fans.
Not like
no
the Eagles.
way. There's no way.
I got some stuff after that Romo game. When Folk had to kick the 2 field goals on Monday Night Football. Oh yeah, I was getting stuff.
I did see some.
I looked at myself like it was.
I did see some. Matt Stafford get knocked out by Zeke Elliott after the game on video. Did you see that in the stands in L.A. this weekend? SoFi Stadium.
No, I did not.
Fans in the stands. Some fan dressed in a Matt Stafford jersey got stomped by this fan in the Zeke Elliott jersey.
The only post game thing that I saw after the game that seemed to go viral was just that video of when they showed Kim Kardashian on the big screen, and I mean that whole place just booed her. Yeah. Like it was. I mean, she's there with her kids and stuff, and they show her with her name underneath, and she's just waving or whatever. And it was just like,
wow.
They don't like you, Kim.
I know, but I don't know. I didn't expect them all to boo her like that.
Like that was the one time that all the fans were together.
Right together. Yeah.
Yeah,
everyone's down for the boo there. Did McCarthy give an indication of who's going to talk Saturday night? Because I thought the DOC was pretty good. I wish I could have been.
But even on that, though, I don't think
DOC talk.
But I don't think that he even put that out there until maybe before the game.
They don't,
he told Brad on the pregame show.
They don't tell us who's going to give the pregame speech.
Yeah.
Just like they don't tell us when they're smashing watermelons and that's his stuff.
Find that out.
Once they win,
Yeah, they tell us after the game.
And he'll have something for this week.
And he volunteered it. And it's funny. So you weren't there, but so he starts talking about the DOC, and I'm like, the DOC? Yeah, we had the DOC speak, and I'm like, what you know about the DOC? You don't think I know about the DOC, Clarence?
No.
No,
I don't.
I don't think
you're in the Kenny Chesney.
But a lot of people don't know about. I mean, a lot of the players in the locker room didn't know him.
In town,
they don't understand his importance on rap and West Coast rap and gangster rap and Death Row Records because he had one album, then he had a car wreck and he messed up his larynx and he couldn't rap it. A lot of people think he could have been the best rapper ever. If he would have held his career. So he started writing rhymes for NWA and Dr. Dre.
I didn't know before this. I didn't know that he had Dallas ties, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's from Dallas. That's what DOC stands for, Dallas Oak Cliff.
Yeah, see, I never knew that.
And so people didn't know that because he made his name on the West Coast. And so, so I'm like, and that's why I asked Dan Quinn about it. Like, Dan Quinn, did you think Mike knew it? Because Dan Quinn's a hip-hop
Yes, he is.
Last week during practice, they play, whatever city they go to, they play the music of practice of that city. So they're playing a lot of West Coast rap, and Dan Quinn was in practice bopping his head, with the words. But he was saying the words, during practice. So that's DOC. So... And he was like, I didn't know Mike, knew anything about him, but he wants to work with him, wants to collaborate with him. But it was a great story. Actually, I fired 2 of my friends who were out there at the game, and I had actually helped them get tickets. And they were at the Catch in L.A. having dinner and drinks, and in walks DOC, and they took a picture with him, and he told them about this. So after the game, I sent her the story about DOC. He said, I know, we saw him last night. We talked to him last night. You didn't tell me? How you not? You fired. Then he's gonna send me a picture of them taking pictures with him, and he told him about how he was nervous of talking in front of all the kids, and didn't think they would listen to him, and he's a big Cowboy fan. So It's good stuff.
Hey, look, I give a lot of credit to Mike McCarthy in the way, as a head coach, he's run this football team. And when you see some of the awful coaching moves and decisions made over this past week, it makes me appreciate Mike even more. I mean, what Josh McDaniels did and going for 2 when you just kicked the field goal, and a couple decisions Jim Harbaugh's made this year and losing games for Baltimore. The Ravens coach on Sunday night made some goofy stuff. Brandon Staley of the Chargers is not good at all at game management. And I know Mike gets a lot of issues. People get on Mike about game management a lot, but man, this year, I just have more of an appreciation for Mike and what he's done with this team, and they play for each other. It's good football.
No, you have to give him credit. And you know, it's funny, and just to piggyback on the story, it was his daughter who has a relationship with DOC. And so
Nick was trying to
last couple of years.
He's cutting Nick off.
No, I'm not. I wasn't.
I was just piggybacking on his daughter had a relationship with DOC. One thing, you talk about game management. Imagine if Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy did what Kyler Murray and Coach Bro did this weekend. Third down, you run for a first down, slide early, think it's a first down. No one knows that the officials have not moved the chains. You don't know the officials have not moved the chains. It's 3rd and 1. You think it's first down, and you spike the ball. And now it's 4th and 1. You got to kick a field goal. You missed the field goal.
So you think we would be talking about it on here if that had happened?
Oh, my God.
Okay. Then
people are so crazy about the end of the San Francisco game.
Yeah.
Just
it was a playoff game.
It was, but just think if you on 3rd and 1, you think it's first down, you spike the ball.
Yeah, it'd be really bad.
You know, and at least in the San Francisco game.
And it wouldn't have to be Dak. It could be DiNucci. That would be a huge deal.
But you still need a Hail Mary to win the game.
Yeah.
This game, it's a chip shot field goal. You know, pretty much.
That's a bad coach.
To tie the game, it's in overtime. You know, just.
There's some malfeasance going on out here, man. There's some folks who really I don't understand what's.
I feel like it's probably always been that way.
This year it just feels like
the internet just kind of brings it to where we know more about what.
And we love it.
Absolutely, but I'm talking about it's just not pro football; it's college football. We see it all. 20 years ago, you wouldn't even have known that Kyler Murray did that, but now it's like, oh, I'm just scrolling through Twitter and looking at whatever he likes to look at, and that comes up.
That's one of those plays where everybody on TV sees it and knows. Everyone on TV knows more than the actual players.
Right, because the players they're oblivious.
You see the line, you see the yellow line, you see didn't get in, but you don't see
that. But you got
here.
somebody got to be on the headset, and so it's funny because I'm upstairs trying to write. Everybody's going downstairs, and I'm looking because I want to know what the Eagles did because obviously if they're undefeated or not undefeated because we're going down to the locker room because the Cowboys won the game, and I saw 4th and 1 from the 25, and I didn't know what happened. I'm saying, okay, I'm sure they kicked the field goals going to overtime because it was 2017. There's no way they're missing the chip shot field goal from the 25-yard line. You know, and some things is overtime. Then I find out what happened, how they got the 4th and 1 when I get downstairs. It's crazy. They say the Eagles won. You never believe how they won.
Boom. Clarence Hill, 4-Star Telegram. Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com. John Machota of The Athletic. This has been the Media Match. We'll do it again tomorrow at 3 p.m. right here on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this?